One of the most misunderstood aspects of gang stalking is the gang stalking induced psychosis. If you do not know what gang stalking is, but you're watching this video, let me give you a condensed version of gang stalking. Gang stalking is organized narcissistic abuse intended to drive someone crazy. The target is nudged by a lot of people to make choices that will destroy the target or the victim. For example, if you are the target and I am part of the gang stalking group, our group would actively get in contact with you with the intention to talk to you about illicit substances. The group will have some people who use illicit substances. However, these people are going to invite you to their place, to hang out, to use, and everyone else is going to be encouraging you to use more substances. I know it's easy to blame someone for saying yes on the use of illicit substances. However, what most people don't understand about the human mind is that if you push to a person hard enough, if a person receives enough nudges to take a particular action, the person will inevitably give in. To the rest of the world, it will appear that the victim, or you, on your own volition, made the decision to use substances. And the truth is that if you do not know what gang stalking is, you yourself will believe that it was all your choice. However, gang stalkers surround a person and actively talk to the target about substances, and they accuse the target of being a drug user. Over time, the mind of the target accepts it, gives in, and becomes what is being pushed on the target. Another example, let's say if you are on a diet and you have a bunch of haters that work with you and everyone is fat. However, the moment that you're beginning to get a nice toned body, your coworkers suddenly start having pizza parties, they start talking to you about french fries, they are nudging you in the direction of eating a lot of unhealthy foods meant to keep your mind thinking of unhealthy foods that will lead you to get fat and to throw your diet away. Gang stalking is literally a conspiracy of a group of people to control your life. What most people don't understand is that if an idea is pushed onto the victim or onto any person, this idea will seat in the subconscious mind of the person and accept it as truth. Here, for example, here is one of the Facebook groups that I belong to where people say that the government puts voices in their head, V2K. These people call themselves targeted individuals. There are people that believe what I am showing you here on the screen is true. Here, for example, hang on, not here. There are people out there that genuinely believes that the government is controlling their thoughts. And look, I was one of those people. I didn't fully believe it, but I was very close to. The reason that I was almost there was because I was reading a lot of these things where they talk about mind control, they talk about someone is watching you. This is what I was reading when I was being harassed by this group of people. This same group of people would say things around me that would confirm this narrative. Someone literally said behind my back, we have technology that you cannot even imagine. I also had some person, one, two, three. I had 3 people in 7 years hold their ear like this and talk as soon as they saw me, as if they were communicating with each other. They said, oh yeah, he's recording, or oh yeah, he's about to walk on your area. Watch out. This group of people will do things to insinuate that this narrative is truth. And look, I went to college. I'm cognitively functional. I have lived a normal life most of my life. However, all of a sudden, I found myself surrounded by a lot of drug users. I was accused of things that weren't true. People were sabotaging my belongings, and a group of people were actively pushing drugs on me. These people were actively encouraging me to stay up as much as possible to get my mind tired. Over many years, I began to accept the narrative of the V2K, of the directed energy weapons, because people around me were implying it as if it was true. Then I went on the internet, and all I found was information about people being harassed with directed energy weapons. It got to a point where I had up to 3 voices in my head. I got to a point where I heard some of my own thoughts outside of me. And the only explanation that made sense to me at that point in time were things like this, like what I'm showing you in the screen, remote neuromonitoring. Because how the hell was it possible that my own thoughts would be outside of me somewhere? It felt as if someone had a speaker that my thoughts were projected into, and they were playing it outside of me. It also got to the point where I began to feel unexplainable sensations on my body. They were unexplainable. But then again, I went on the internet and then I found this stuff. Gang stalkers are projecting weird sensations onto your body with directed energy weapons. It felt just like this, like how I'm showing you. On top of that, gang stalkers tell you who they are by doing this to you. As simple as that. As soon as you turn to look at them, they do a fast movement of the hand, or of the neck, or of the leg. They do a fast movement to make you paranoid, to make you doubt what you are seeing, because the existence of gang stalking in itself is so implausible that you are continuously wondering whether or not that person was gang stalking you or not. That in itself will make your mind tired. On top of that, I used to feel an unexplainable sensation on my left foot, and I felt like I was in cuffs, in some type of directed energy weapon invisible cuffs. And when I went online again, guess what? All I found was information about how all of the power lines had some type of directed energy weapon tied into them. These narratives explained what I was feeling, so I immediately accepted it as truth. However, I never said anything because there was no way I would accept that. No way. No, it didn't make sense. It was way too far reaching. However, I felt the evidence. The physiological sensations to me were the evidence of this being truth. Over time, with the harassment of all of these people, you're made to hear voices, you're made to feel weird sensations, and people around you are doing a lot of confusing things. Over time, you are made to live another reality. Your reality is this. It becomes this. Now, you also start hallucinating. Gang stalkers do things to confuse you that will make you question whether or not people are doing these things. For example, let's pretend that this is your field of vision, right? And if you're being gang stalked, there's 5 of us, right? And when we would walk by your field of vision, we would just go like that, but not look at you. Everyone would be doing things something like that. A fast movement of the hand that made no sense. Additionally, you would have people mess with you through your peripheral vision by doing things like that, or on the corner of your eye, or people run around you or run towards you. People are going to be doing things that made no sense to you, that make no sense in any possible context. A single person doing that has no effect. But what I just explained to you happened to me through a span of 8 years. The people around you create an alternate reality around you. This later on causes you to interpret people just moving their arm as gang stalking harassment. This might not make sense to you, what I just explained to you. What I just explained to you will make sense to a person who has been gang stalked. It boils down to a bunch of people doing weird things around you. It's that simple. And because you cannot explain the things that are happening around you, you will become paranoid. You will begin to think there is a group of people around me. There is a group of people following me. The truth is that in gang stalking, people will be following you. It will be truth for a little bit until your mind accepts it as your reality. After that being truth for a while, gang stalkers can lower the amount of work, and all that they have to do is simply have a person do the weird gang stalking hand signals to snap you back in, to connect you to the alternative narrative of gang stalking that they have built in your mind for so many years. What I just described to you is a gang stalking induced psychosis. Let's explore what is a psychosis, shall we? Here are the symptoms of a psychosis, and it says the following. Psychosis is a mental condition that affects a person's perception of reality. It is characterized by a loss of contact with reality, leading to experiences that are not shared by most people. And here we have it. Hallucination, experiencing sensations that are not real, such as hearing voices or seeing things that are not there. Let's start with that. The thing about gang stalking is that you see things that are there, but you are interpreting them as part of gang stalking harassment. Gang stalking induced hallucinations are not really hallucinations. They are misinterpretations of a person's actions. You don't misinterpret them because there's something wrong with your mind. You misinterpret them because you have been conditioned to interpret them as gang stalking. Let me explain this to you. During my gang stalking operation, gang stalkers wanted to sensitize me or to condition me to interpret people grabbing their junk, adjusting their junk, as a sign that they were gang stalkers. So, when I was working at the O'Reilly Auto Parts in Imperial Beach, I had gang stalkers do this to me, like that. It wasn't a spicy action. It was an action meant to make me interpret it as gang stalking. Why? Because a lot of the people that had harassed me before suddenly began grabbing their junk. And look, we men adjust our junk all the time. So over time, I was conditioned to interpret guys adjusting their junk as a sign of gang stalking. So yes, I was seeing things. However, it wasn't a hallucination because the action was there. However, it was my perception of that action that was turned for me to interpret it as gang stalking harassment. There were hallucinations about voices where they appeared to be coming from out of me, from around me. Gang stalking created these hallucinations. I'm gonna explain to you how. When you are gang stalked, people will say things behind your back, literally behind your back, where you do not see their mouth move. A lot of times they will do this, they will cover their mouth and they will say things like, "You're such a loser," and then just look like this in another direction and pretend like they didn't say anything. From your perspective, you heard someone calling you a loser and it appeared to be coming from me, right? But you didn't see. So if you would confront me, I could literally say, "You are hearing things." I didn't say anything. Over time, whenever someone covers their mouth, your mind is going to produce a hallucination of a voice that will be made to appear to come from the person that just covered their mouth like this, even when that person didn't say anything, because that is what a gang stalking induced psychosis does. It creates evidence of what you have been conditioned to believe. So over time, look, I had people around me say loser, mother effer, and the thing about this is that these people say these things around you where you do not see them say it. So you will never really know whether or not a person said it because you didn't see them. You have these hallucinations because you have a belief that people say things around you to harass you, but you are not having those hallucinations for no reason. You are having those hallucinations because you are conditioned by gang stalking to have them. It is your mind that has been made to have those hallucinations by the gang stalking harassment itself. Your mind will fill up the blanks that will perpetuate the gang stalking narrative. Now, we're moving on to delusions. Delusions, holding strong false beliefs that are not based on reality, even in the face of evidence to the contrary. Look, this is the difference between a gang stalking induced psychosis and a normal psychosis. A normal psychosis isn't based on the actions of people. A gang stalking psychosis is based on the actions of people. That's why people hold on so strongly to the delusion of gang stalking, is because you have a group of people creating evidence to your mind that the delusion of gang stalking is real. And look, gang stalking is real. However, these people will create the evidence while calling you crazy. So you are fed that you're crazy, and you're also fed that you're not. For example, gang stalkers will hold their phone like this, and they will purposely try to make you uncomfortable so that you believe that they are recording you. And then they're gonna simply just turn the screen over, and you're gonna see that they were not recording you at all. However, in my personal gang stalking experience, I actually saw people snap pictures of me. And look, and I'm telling you that I saw them snap pictures of me because I saw it. Look, how did I know? Because the person was like this, and look at the light of my face. You see that? You can see the screen on my face, right? And look, do you see that? That is exactly what I saw on the face of the person that was pointing their camera at me. Not only that, but that person was wearing glasses, and I was able to see their screen. And on their screen, on the reflection of the glasses, I saw the picture of me. Look, so look at this. Do you see that right now you can see what's in front of me? So this is what I saw, what you're seeing it right now. What you look at right now, that's what I saw. So I saw people taking pictures of me. However, over time, seeing people take pictures of you, plus having people actively try to make you believe that they are taking pictures of you when they are not, is bound to make you paranoid. It will make anyone paranoid. So over time, these delusions, such as, oh my god, people are taking pictures of me, are not based off lies. They are based on previous experiences. The disorganized thinking and speech comes from gang stalkers doing everything possible to keep you awake, pushing drugs on you, and verbal harassment. When I was gang stalked, I had hundreds of people purposely and maliciously cut me off, speak over me, interrupt, among a lot of other things. People actively would walk by me and they would simply just cough, and all of those ways of harassing a person messes with their ability to think clearly. Over time, your thoughts and your speech become disorganized, and your ability to talk clearly goes away. Changes in behavior, withdrawal from social interactions, agitations, or inappropriate emotions. This is also caused by gang stalking psychosis. For example, inappropriate emotions. Gang stalkers will actively cough around you, and to anyone else, it appears like a normal cough, right? And when you're a targeted individual, a victim of gang stalking, you will have gang stalkers obtusely and absurdly cough around you with the intention to make you uncomfortable. There is going to be a point where you are made to hate people coughing, and you will have an inappropriate emotion to people coughing around you because you have been conditioned to feel anger every time a person coughs. So gang stalking literally conditions your mind to feel anger to things that will appear as normal to other people, such as wearing a red shirt, such as coughing or interrupting. When I was gang stalked, I was interrupted so much maliciously that after a while, any slight interruption would make me angry, really, really, really angry, even when it wasn't a malicious interruption. Gang stalking itself conditions you to have inappropriate emotions. Gang stalking itself will make a person withdraw from social interactions because your social interactivity is tainted by experiences of gang stalking. Same with agitation. Gang stalkers themselves will do things to make you feel anxious, and they will do things to make you feel agitated. Over time, this becomes your reality. I am telling you this because I was gang stalked for so many years to the point where this psychosis was my reality. But look, gang stalking induced psychosis is very different from a psychosis due to illicit substance consumption, because your psychosis induced by gang stalking is induced by the behavior of other people. Now, gang stalking literally creates a permanent psychosis in people. That's exactly why so many targeted individuals fill in all of the symptoms of a psychosis. And The only explanation that exists, that is out there in the real world, is a mental health condition. It is the biggest secret of gang stalking, that gang stalking harassment itself puts its victim in a state of confusion, of hallucinations, of behavioral changes, of altered emotions, to the point where it checks all the boxes of a genuine psychosis. The only way to escape from that psychosis is understanding how gang stalking works. The truth is that the participation of so many people, along with the narrative online about the directed energy weapons, about the V2K, works in tandem perfectly with the actions of your gang stalkers. The purpose of gang stalking is literally to convince you that all of these things that you see on the screen are true. The internet actively pushes this narrative of directed energy weapons. That way, when you are harassed and you start feeling what people commonly describe as bugs crawling under your skin or unexplainable pains, you immediately make the assumption that there are people with directed energy weapons making you feel these sensations. When you hear voices, you will immediately believe that thoughts are being put into your mind. When you hear your own thoughts outside of you, you're going to make the assumption that somehow someone is connected to your mind. But look at the intensity of the brainwashing. Whenever you go online, if you type gang stalking YouTube, you're gonna find a lot of people making absurd claims. Look at how absurd this looks. Just look at how insane this looks. Remote operation control, then a satellite, and then satellite sends signal to drones, and then directed energy weapons, and then V2K, neuromonitoring. Like, look at how absurd this sounds to you. To one person. Look at all of the equipment used to harass one person. Gang stalking is such an effective way of disorienting a person to the point where they're gonna be so disoriented and in such of a state of psychosis that they will believe that this is true. I, for a little bit, believed that this was true because I was feeling unexplainable sensations, but I looked at this and then I said, no way. There is no way. And that is when I began to play with my mind. I began to say affirmations. I began to absorb material that had nothing to do with this. And all of a sudden, my mind was changing. I snapped out of this, and over time, I learned how to control my mind. The truth is that gang stalking literally is the manipulation of your mind. Gang stalkers don't talk to you as a person. They talk straight to your mind. Narcissists, sociopaths, manipulators, they talk to your mind. They're not talking to you. That's why when you talk to a narcissist, their words feel empty. Have you ever noticed that gang stalkers and narcissists say things that are not really talking to you, but they say things that are talking to your subconscious mind? For example, here that says fentanyl is real life. Why would anyone put this on a chat? What is the thing that comes to your mind when you read this? Fentanyl is real life. You imagine someone on fentanyl, right? Now, this one, meth is a great product. It makes you think about meth, right? Why would anyone say this? This message is in itself isn't talking to me. It's not an intent of communication with me. It's an intent of communication with my mind. It is loaded language. Why would anyone just say out of the blue, meth is a great product? You know, gang stalkers and narcissists talk to you with the intention of getting through your psychological defenses and make a mark in your mind. And let me tell you, if you do not understand this form of communication, you are gonna fall for it. So the best defense to gang stalking induced psychosis is to pay is to pay special attention to how the words of people, the comments, and the actions make you think, make you feel, and what type of message are they putting in your mind. Because a phrase that has no meaning to you might not actually be intended for you, but for your mind. Such as, meth is a great product. To everyone else that doesn't understand narcissistic abuse or gang stalking, this will simply seem like an innocuous comment by a person that is just being stupid. But if enough people tell you meth is a great product, especially if you're someone who is in recovery, this type of comment is bound to make you remember the good times that you had on that product, therefore increasing the possibility of you re-engaging in that product. So if something that anyone says makes you think of something that or of taking an action that you know will destroy you, that is what you have to consider an enemy, which is the worst type of enemy, because this enemy is attacking you, but to the rest of the world, there it's gonna look like you on your own weren't strong enough to stay off drugs. But when you have a lot of people continuously telling you how meth of a great product is, you are more likely to have a relapse. In the end, judge people by everything that they talk about. If you have someone that is close to you that is talking to you about illicit substances, not sleeping, not eating, unprotected spicy activities, playing with a lot of people, not taking care of your mind, not taking care of your body, that is an enemy in disguise. So don't talk to anyone that is encouraging you that type of behavior, especially if you are a targeted individual, especially if you know that you're being gang stalked. You have to take this to the extreme, because if you allow too many of these people in your life, you are bound to pay dearly with your well-being and with your health. Okay, I wanted to thank Elsa for being a member to the channel. Thank you, Elsa, so much. I hope you're doing really good. Guys, please understand that the purpose of this channel is to explain gang stalking to such an extent that everyone understands it. If everyone understands gang stalking, there will not be any further victims of gang stalking. That's why this content has to become mainstream. The more people that watch this content, the better, because if everyone knows about it, gang stalkers won't have anywhere to turn to. They will not be able to hide. So if you would like to support my mission, please consider sharing the content on your social media. Please consider watching more videos and watching to the very end. That helps the channel a whole lot. On top of that, you could like, subscribe, comment. Any of those ways to show your support, I will appreciate dearly. Additionally, if you would like to go above and beyond, say, in showing your support, please consider becoming a member to the channel. You can support the channel by becoming a member. Redundant munch. Sorry. Less than $5 a month, or you can also make a donation. There is a link to my PayPal in the description of the channel. Thank you so much, and I will see you later. Bye.